We are good to go again, gentlemen. We'll get some music going here in just a second. There we go. How much are those tickets?
$510, as
For
low
OU?
as. So that's
What game is this?
Texas A&M.
Texas
Texas.
A&M.
Oh, interesting. Not that I want to go see that, but hey, what can I say?
I'm really surprised that that's more than the Red River rivalry, though. I got to be honest.
It's because they haven't played in
yeah
like 13 years. That's the biggest reason.
Where are they playing that one?
At A&M.
At A&M. Oh,
Yep.
Interesting. All right, guys. Well, we are back to talk a little college football today. A lot of action as always. Beginning of the season's always fun because you never know what you're going to get coming out the gate. Some teams are surprised about their performances, Notre Dame, and some teams surprised us with their performance, Texas. So, all right, guys, what was the big game in your mind this past week?
I thought it was going to be Texas, Michigan. I think Texas is maybe a little better than we thought, and I don't know if Michigan is. I think that because there's quite a few players that are not on that team anymore that were there. You can definitely tell. So, I mean, and looking at that conference, the impressive win for USC of LSU, and then they just routed Utah State, and they get Michigan at Michigan, not this week but next. I don't really think I see Michigan winning that game. Maybe they will, but if USC does that, then they're right there in that running. I don't know what's going with Oregon. They've had 2 close games, but
yeah, I was a little surprised. They're still ranked number 6 in the country, but
they're very fortunate to win the last 2 games.
Yes.
The first week was weird against Idaho. They had like 30 first downs to 10. And had like 500 yards to 200 and didn't have more turnovers. And yet they barely, I don't know how, it's like they got to the 10-yard line and said, here, it's your turn, Idaho. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know how that happened. But Boise gave them a great game. And so what were your, what do you got? Which ones you were?
Yeah, well, so going into week 2, the top 5 games that I had, was number 1 Texas, Michigan, and then Tennessee, North Carolina State, Colorado at Nebraska. See what Boise State could do at Oregon, and then Iowa State at Iowa. After week 2, I think the most impressive game was probably the technically. I'm going to go the Iowa State-Iowa game.
It was a good game.
Iowa State knocking them off at the buzzer.
It's been a while since Iowa State's won that game. They've lost to that game close several times.
Number 2, got to go with the CU Nebraska because we saw primetime go into Lincoln, and in primetime got lost, and it was not pretty. It was not even close ever in that game.
Yeah, I want to talk about that game in just a little bit, but continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then of course. Rounding out the rest of that top 5, Boise State, Oregon. Boise State gave them a game, so that was still good. Tennessee, that game, and then just the Texas and Michigan. That wasn't even a game. And you know what? I'm not gonna say that Texas is not good because I believe they are, but I think Michigan has real problems, and I don't think they're going to do anything this season.
No, really?
I think they're going to lose. Yeah, I think they're going to lose a lot of games. And I think we're going to be shocked at some of the games that we're going to see them lose. For instance, I'm just kind of looking at their schedule for Michigan. Like you were talking about, they got the USC game. They're going to Washington. I don't think that's going to be easy. Seeing what Illinois just did, I don't think that's going to be easy going to Illinois, Oregon, and of course Ohio State. I mean, I don't see Michigan really winning or losing less than 4 games this season.
Yeah, so I can't see them going At 8-4, about the best. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll be ranked at the end of the season either.
You don't?
They lost
I
a
don't.
lot. They still have some pretty
Wow.
good defensive guys, but they really don't have much of the offense at all.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
and you could tell they were just not really. Ironically, he got blasted by Texas, but they finalized his contract. Why would they not do that before the game, before the season?
Mm.
Right.
Yeah,
So we'll
crazy.
see. I don't know, but they don't have the signs anymore, so maybe that's one of the issues.
Yeah, we'll see about that one. But as far as I'm concerned, of course, Sooner, the big game was Houston OU. That was the big game for
It
us.
was a tough game. I mean, Houston came in and they were definitely Billy Fritz is a good coach, and
Uh-huh.
he had them very prepared, and definitely took advantage of that Oklahoma just couldn't move the ball. I mean, it's
Just couldn't move the ball. And I have to tell you that the Cougs, messed the bed week one. They were horrible, absolutely horrible week one. And to come in and do what they did to OU defensively, because offensively, I think we could have had a little bit better game plan. But defensively, I'm very happy with what we saw. Big improvement over the first week. Trust me, very big improvement. Although we did play UNLV, and UNLV is not a bad team, but as a team, I felt that we could have beat. And we'll find out how good UNLV is because they're playing Kansas this week. So
okay.
yeah,
Kansas. Yeah, Oklahoma. They I agree. I don't Houston, to me, when it started to be where this is actually going to be a game, they still were really, really conservative, and
yes,
they never really even tried down the field. Now maybe it wouldn't have worked, but there was a few like the series that it was the 4th and 3 at about the OU 47, and then he just took the 5 and punted. I was like,
I didn't get that either.
I thought they were going to go for it, or at least try to get him jump up something, because because they were right there, and it just seemed they had some time where they could have possibly just made a few big plays and found a way to win when they just kept kind of letting, in Oklahoma, they are. It's going to be a very tough season for us because we just have the area that we could not have injuries. We only have 2 starting linemen, and we only have 1 starting receiver. And when you have a young quarterback, that is not good. And for the hardest season that we'll probably ever play, I have definitely lowered my standards unless something changes. I'm going to the Tulane game, and I think it'll be a good. Tulane gave Kansas State a really good game, but the guy's really young. The quarterback, he's only played at home 2 games, and now he's going to be one of 80,000 fans that are mad. And with the Venables defense, I think the defense will really give him some problems, and I think they'll find enough to win. But I've seen like 24-17, something like. I don't expect it to be an easy game.
Yeah, I hear you.
So
the line,
we see improvement.
The line of the Houston game was 27. We were giving up 27 to you guys, and for it to come down to 4 points was crazy for us. But we're very happy with that. But the other game that I want to talk about is the Nebraska-Colorado game. Of course, I know, Kellen, you and my wife are in love with this Nebraska Red stuff. But I got to tell you, that looked like a revenge match after what happened the year before, and the little smack talk going on between Dion and Rule, Jeff Rule. Matt
Rule, yeah.
Matt Rule. I'm sorry, Matt Rule. Yeah. So he's very happy to have won that game in the fashion that he did. But you're learning a lot about the Deion Sanders model of college football, and it's not working.
No,
it's just not working. His sons have terrible attitudes. He has, I would tell you, a terrible attitude, and I think that's not a good winning attitude for that team. So I see him out of the league, out of college football after his son is done. He might not even stay there for the 2 years for his son, who's a junior.
Yeah. And that's the thing is Shiloh's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sooner.
I was just going to say that I think they're both, aren't they both sons will be good. And one of them's like a senior and the other one's a junior, right?
Right.
So I think they'll both be gone. I think he'll leave, and he may be their manager, agent, or something of that nature. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because that's much more of his style. He's not his style worked at Jackson State because it's Jackson State, and they have this larger than life guy, and with the portal, guys that are not playing much at Power 5 or Group of Fives. Hey, well, I'll play for Dion. That's awesome, and he could bring that in. And all of a sudden, he has guys that are really wanting to be there. But at Colorado, he's recruiting against teams that are there. They have everything they have. They may not have the flash and dash, but ultimately they win a lot more, and they have the facilities way better than Colorado. Most of the teams he's competing with. I mean, so it just doesn't work there.
No,
I mean, I know they're saying, oh, maybe he's next Florida State. I would not do that if I was Florida State.
No. Good, Kulik, what do you say?
Yeah, well, so Shiloh Sanders, I do believe that Dion will probably stay and see Shiloh finish out his collegiate career. But
what year is he?
You're right. I believe he's a junior. Yeah.
Okay.
And Shador is the quarterback is his senior year. So, yeah, I do believe that he'll stay to see him as well as Travis Hunter. Because he's taking Travis Hunter
will go after this year, though. He'll be gone. He's a 3-year.
Yeah,
because he's a junior. Yeah, the two big names, Hunter and Sanders, will both be gone. So.
Shiloh broke his forearm. Is that correct?
Let's see. Yeah, it was an arm injury. I didn't know how bad it was. I didn't know he broke something.
That's what I thought. I wasn't sure. You can go ahead and check me, fact check me. But either way, I another year at most.
Forearm injury.
Forearm. Okay.
Yeah. So the only thing Dion did say is that he shouldn't miss too long. So who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
But who knows? That could be Dion just saying Dion stuff.
Yeah, he might be selling Aflac at the end of this year. So we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. But so the thing is with what Deion Sanders has brought in to the game is that we haven't seen him take any concrete steps to build a program that will last beyond him or his sons, which will be him. So I don't know what that means for this season. It honestly it doesn't look that promising. I think they'll get a few wins, but it doesn't look promising for CU, which I'm not hurt about. But I do think that they're not going to have they're not built to win a lot of games. They maybe could sneak into a 6-win bowl season, but I think that would be as best as it looks for CU and Deion Sanders. And then you're right. What Senior you were saying? I think especially after Shiloh's gone, and Travis Hunter's gone, is that Dion will be done with CU. I think after that. So
well Shiloh. I'm just looking at Shiloh. This is last year. He's 24 years old. This is his last season, and then the quarterback's the younger brother. He's a.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, we got it backwards.
I had them mixed around. So Shador, the quarterback, he's a junior. I'm sorry, I had that.
But he'll be gone. He's going to go pro.
Yeah, I think so.
And then Hunter, I don't think Dion will be there after this year.
So
Hunter and both Sanders will be gone. I think he'll be gone.
That's a good point. Now that you said that's a very good point. I can see that. The other part of this, though, the most exciting part is that Nebraska does look for real.
Yes.
They've got Dylan Raiola. I'm sorry, Patrick Mahomes. That's just a joke because they got number 15 and they throw apparently the same now and also look the same with the same haircut. So
yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes is calling him little cuz already. So yeah. So Dylan Raiola, man, as a freshman, he didn't put up spectacular numbers in that game, but he didn't really need to because he also didn't turn over the ball. The big thing with Nebraska last season is they were 4 or 5 plays away from a 9-win season. and they just gave up the ball. I think the most or near the most in the entire league. So playing a very clean game in the first two games, especially against CU, who was a contender. That's looking pretty good. And that defense, I think for the first time, Nebraska truly has a true black shirt defense, because it just looks scary. I saw number 9. Apologies, I forgot his name, but number 9 on the defensive line just roll through that offensive line.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And the defensive line, bringing in Warren Sapp did not help very much, because Warren Sapp, let me just say, he got a taste of what he got the last time he played Nebraska, and that was in the national championship game.
That was not pretty either. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good game, though. It
was. It was only 24-17.
The Florida game was the massacre.
Yes, the Florida was the massacre,
where Tommy Brazier ran through the whole team and no one could tackle him.
Yep. But yeah,
Miami played him pretty good in that game, actually.
They did. It was a 24-17 final.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so anyway, that's my thoughts on that game.
Cool. What games are we looking at for this week, guys?
Let's see what we got.
Well, let's see. I had. Go ahead.
I'd say the Big 12 non-conference game. It's still funny. Last week it was Utah and Baylor, and it doesn't count. Now Arizona, Kansas State on Friday is a good matchup. But it doesn't count against it doesn't count against the standings. And that one, interesting. Oregon and Oregon State. That is one. That's a interesting game. The Civil War continues. Oregon has barely won, and Oregon State's 2-0, and they're pretty good. It's at Oregon State. They're going to be fired up because Oregon bailed and left the conference.
Yeah.
Oregon better be ready, because they have really come close to not being ready, and they could definitely lose that game. And then my Sooners, I think will play better, but Tulane is pretty solid. I do like our chances. I think our defense and our crowd is not anything their freshman quarterback has faced. So I think we find a way to win a close one, but it may not be pretty. But
well, we'll find out a lot about Oklahoma in this one.
Yep.
Maybe
the top 3 games. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just said maybe the Houston game was just a fluke where they didn't look too good.
See.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Good, Kulik.
The top 3 games of this week I have. I actually have Alabama at Wisconsin, and then Tulane, Oklahoma. And just because this might have a little bias on it, but CU going to Fort Collins and playing CSU.
Oh yeah.
So I think CSU they took them to 2 or 3 overtimes last year and didn't make it out, but now it's in Fort Collins, so I think they will make it out this time.
Oh yeah, it was that wild, real late game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because Alabama, they rarely go to the north like that. I mean. The SEC doesn't do that very much. I don't know. Alabama probably has never played at Wisconsin. So, and another one, but Boston College, who is 2-0 quietly.
Yeah.
And their coach, their coach is Bill O'Brien. He's the coach there. The Houston Texans head coach for several years.
Yeah.
He was the OC for Saban and for Belichick. And the Alabama people were happy when he left. I'm like, Saban thinks he's okay. The Alabama fans all hated him. They were so happy. But they all hated him, but Bill Belichick think he was good enough. And then the BC coach surprisingly left to go be an OC in the NFL, which you're seeing that a little bit more now because of this NIL. And so they hired Bill O'Brien, and so far he's got him in. And Missouri, that's going to be a challenge for Missouri. I can see that.
Yeah, they're highly ranked. We'll see what happens with Mizzou and BCU. I of course have to go with the bucket game, the Bayou bucket game between Houston and Rice. That's one of those that I just have to go with, of course. But I'm looking forward to that Arizona K-State game. I think that's going to be a big a big game.
Oh yeah,
especially for K-State. K-State has some ambitions on the conference and going into the playoff. And so, games like these are the ones they're going to have to win.
Have you changed any of? Have you seen the first few weeks? Because I think we had at least 2 teams from each conference. Do you think every conference will get 2 teams or more?
Well, let's talk after Oregon gets past Oregon State this week. We'll see.
I don't know. I'm not sold. I don't know if the ACC is going to get any more than 1.
I don't think so. I'm looking at their conference, and I don't see it. I really don't.
The Big 12. Oh, well, we didn't talk about one of the best games of the year was the OSU Arkansas. That was a great game.
Oh yeah.
Arkansas came in and was a heavy underdog. I think at least double digits. And I mean, Oklahoma State is an old team. Their quarterback's like on his 7th year. And all the offensive line have started at least 2 years, and they're all at least 5 years or more, 5 or 6 year seniors.
Mm-hmm.
And they looked kind of lost against Arkansas. The quarterback from Arkansas was at Boise, and that kid's pretty good. He was a 2-year starter at Boise, and now he has Bobby Petrino. I mean, that guy looks pretty good. And I think Arkansas could be the one kind of surprise SEC team of the lower group that I don't think most of them would do it. I could see them and
maybe doing a little something.
They may be able to.
Cool.
Because they had it, and like I mentioned earlier, they did everything in the world to let OSU come back. They just catch punts and not do. They would have the game would have been over. And Gundy would have lost one of his early games. He's notorious for doing that. But he found a way. He found a way.
All right, guys. Well, it looks like we've kind of beat that one to death. Why don't we sign off and go ahead and give a little bit of a goodbye and shout out to somebody or something.
No, I got to give a shout out to Northern Illinois going into South Bend and knocking them off. That was impressive, and I loved the speech with the coach at the end. You could tell how just awesome that was for him to do that, and it really showed a guy that still just loves the game, and it's not for the college game that has had so many changes and things. To see something like that was pretty cool. And I don't like Notre Dame either. So
no, nobody does. I'm gonna jump in here and agree with you 100%. That was my takeaway too. When was the last time you saw a coach winning and showing such emotion? That guy was crying. I mean, big tears coming out of his eyes after that win. You know that really meant something to him and that team, and just taking down the Goliath like Notre Dame. Congrats.
Dick Vermeil's the last time. Dick Vermeil was a very known crier. He was a big crier.
The NIU coach is Thomas Hammock. So
and he's an alum too. He played there.
Yep. Who do you got? Cool.
Yeah, well, I really like that 2 overtime Oklahoma State Arkansas game. I always love a nice game like that. I think my favorite game in week 1 was LSU and USC. Honestly, that's got to be my favorite game this week. I love those games that either go down to the wire or go into double overtime. The only other matchup I can think of that I liked equally was maybe the Iowa State-Iowa game. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, guys, we're going to look forward to this coming up week of football, and we will be back next Wednesday to cover both. NFL, catch our earlier show.
Versus Rice, and who does Nebraska have?
No, Nebraska has Northern Iowa.
So. Okay. Northern Iowa.
All right.
Should be a gimme.
The great home of the Kurt Warners. So.
Hopefully my coaches will help you guys get a threesome here, 3 wins for us. We'll see if we can get one of those weekends together where all 3 teams win. So
I like that.
All right, Jen.
Yeah.
We'll see you later, bud. Thanks,
Peace.
guys.
Y'all have a good one.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey.
Sports Pundit.